We have 2 of our 5 apron blocks done. Are you ready for another 2? Hey everyone, Cristin Som here, and we are continuing with our We Whisk You a Merry Christmas quilt. So yesterday we did 2 of our apron blocks, and we did them a little bit out of order. So this was number 1 and number 3, if I recall correctly. So today I'm thinking we do number 2 and number 5, I think it was. I'll have to check and make sure. But we have 2 of our apron blocks done, and they're so cute. It will be really fun when we add the button onto these, don't you think? I can't wait to see that. That'll be fun. Some people like to add the buttons on before they do the stitch in the ditch so that you don't see the little thread on the back of the quilt, but I prefer not to do it. So you do you, whatever works for you. I prefer to put the embellishments, especially buttons, on at the end of the project so that when I'm doing my stitch in the ditch, the buttons aren't getting in the way. But totally up to you, whatever works for you. All right. So really, I mean, you'll be able to see the buttons to not go around. We're just going to stitch in the ditch around the block. So it shouldn't be too big of a problem, but totally up to you. And I guess I'll decide for sure once we get there. So for now, just the 1 and the 3 aprons done. And of course, all of 1 through 3 of our rows. So we're on row 4 now, and we're actually almost halfway done with row 4. We are just doing so good, and everybody's doing so great at keeping up. I know that some have fallen a little bit behind, but you know, life gets in the way sometimes. That's okay. So today I moved my camera so you can see a different part of my craft room. I'm not sure though. It looks like it's dark back there. It's kind of funny, but anyway, so you can see all of my thread boxes there. You can find those online. You just type in Floriani thread boxes. That's what I used to store all of my thread. And then more of my craft room and the bed that is up against the window for the dogs, and of course my fabric supply that I usually sit against. So just changing it up a little bit today. So let's go ahead and talk about what we need for today. So we'll do it in 2 parts. So we're going to start with apron 2. So if you have your packets, grab your apron 2 packet. It's a very simple one. You can see it's basically a background and a 1 applique piece. So this will be a very easy one. So both of these are actually pretty easy, and I'm saving one. You'll see why. I'm saving one for a little bit later. All right, so on this one, apron 2, we're going to start with our main fabric. So our main fabric is this red with Christmas words all over it. I don't think I got a substitute from our sponsor for this one, so I'm assuming that means she had this available. I could be wrong, but I think that's why I don't have one. So if you have something else, that will work totally fine. Just keep in mind that this is a directional fabric, and this is the original one. It has been discontinued, but this one, we are going to have this big. So this is 8.5 by 10.5 for our main fabric. And again, directional fabric. So make sure when you put it down, that you're putting it down in the right direction. And make sure to back it whenever we have on all of our background main fabric pieces. I recommend stabilizer, but especially on these big ones, you don't want to get puckering. So I did my stabilizer 8 by 10 so that I can see it, even though it's obvious which one is the front, which one is the back on this one. So 8.5 by 10.5 for our main fabric. All right. And then we have 1 applique piece, and it is this black plaid, black with white and some red lines on it. And this one is going to be 4.5 by 6.5. This is for apron 2, 4.5 by 6.5. I do back mine with fusible stabilizer, but that's optional on the applique pieces. I like it. It makes it really easy to cut, and I don't have to worry about any puckering. So 4.5 by 6.5 for our 1 applique piece for apron 2. All right, and then we have our batting. And our batting today is going to be 7 by 9 for our batting. And then for our quilting, so I'm going to use Hobby 5, but I noticed today, I thought of something that would have been really fun. I didn't think of it earlier, but if you look at the buttons that are going to be on each of the aprons, you can tell from the front page, the main the front or the inner cover. The inner cover is a little bit bigger, but you can tell what buttons we're going to use. And that would have been fun because a lot of us used those quilting designs for our cookies, and you could coordinate the quilting design with the buttons. So like the gingerbread on one of them, the bell on another one, stockings on another one. That would be really fun too. So on mine, I'm doing hobby 5 because it's got like what all the baking supplies, flour and an egg and stipple and different baking supplies. So for the apron, that's fun too. So whatever quilting design you decide to use, totally up to you, but you want a 6x8 quilting design, 6x8 on your quilting. And like I said, I'm going to use hobby 5. That's for apron 2. All right. And then we're going to jump into apron 5 as well. Was it 5? Yes, apron 5 is the one that we're going to do. So apron 2 is on page 14 of the Whisk book, and apron 5 is on page 15 of the book. All right, and apron 5 has more stuff to it, but still very easy. I think it had 2 applique pieces if I recall. Yep, 2 applique pieces. So very simple, very easy day today. And we will do a stretch exercise tomorrow on the last apron. So those are always optional, but something fun to do. All right, so grab your packet for apron 5. And then apron 5, we have our main fabric. So this one is a retired fabric. Well, I'm not sure if it's retired or if they just didn't have any of it. I'm not sure. But it is the lattice or orange peel. It's that one, the white fabric for our main fabric. All right, and if you didn't get this one from our supplier, you may have received a white with white dots on it. Can you see the dots? A little bit. All right, white with white dots. So either one of these will be totally fine for our main fabric. We're going to start with this at 8.5 by 10.5. Make sure to back it with fusible stabilizer. And I always recommend it on these smaller or on these white backgrounds. I cut my stabilizer in a little bit. So I did my stabilizer at 8 by 10 so that I can see the front from the back very easily because of the stabilizer. The other option is that black light that I've been telling you about. It's in my Amazon storefront. You can just hold that little flashlight, the black light flashlight on it, and easily tell from the front from the back. So 8.5 by 10.5 for our main fabric, backed with fusible stabilizer. And then we have our apron fabric, and it is the red plaid, red, black, and white plaid. And this one we're going to have for apron 5. It is going to be the fabric for the applique is 5 by 6.5, 5 by 6.5. All right, I did back mine with fusible stabilizer, but that's optional. All right, see how crisp it makes it? I really like that. All right, but totally optional. 5 by 6.5 for our apron fabric. And then for the pocket, there wasn't a pocket on that other one. I just realized that. That's okay. So the apron fabric, apron pocket fabric, we are going to have it at 2 by 3, and just like we did yesterday, we're going to fold it and press it and have the fold be up at the top of that part, and we'll show that in photos. But for now, 2 by 3, and you may have received the white with white dots. Oh, that's what it is. So in our main fabric, it was that that lattice. That one you should not have a substitute in. It was this one that I did get a substitute. So the white with white dots, you probably received that from our sponsor if you don't have the original fabric kit. The original one is the white with multi Christmas colored dots. The substitute from our sponsor is white with white dots. All right, that's what it was. Sorry about that. Forgot. All right, so 2 by 3 for our pocket fabric, whether it's this older one or the newer one that's white with white dots, the substitute. All right, and then we have our batting, and our batting is going to be 7 by 9, just like the other, 7 by 9. All right, we always cut our batting an inch larger. So our final cut size is 6 by 8. That's why our batting is 7 by 9. Little tip there. All right, 7 by 9 for your batting. And then again, I'm going to use hobby 5. Totally up to you which quilting design you want to use. This one will have a Christmas tree what is it called? The button, the Christmas tree button. So you could do a Christmas tree background of your quilting if you wanted. That would be really cute. But Hobby 5 is fun for baking, and this is an apron. So that's why I chose this one. So I'm going to use Hobby 5 in a 6x8 quilting design. Either one that you want to use will be great as long as it is a 6x8 quilting design. All right, and if it's a directional one, I think that Christmas tree, one of the Christmas tree ones is directional, the quilting. So make sure to get that directed in the right way, as there will be a horizontal or a vertical design. So just make sure to choose the right one for that. All right, that's it. Super easy day. Apron, 2 apron blocks. You can always do those separately. I am going to join them together, and I think I'm going to join them a little bit further than we did yesterday on the apron blocks, just because one of them, I'm going to do both of the apron appliques together at the same time. Definitely do all of the quilting together so that I'm just doing the cutting one time. And then it'll finish off on 5 because there's that extra applique piece for the pocket. All right, so really easy day. Let's go ahead and do the apron blocks 2 and 5 today. Hey everyone, I am at my computer now, and I am going to show you quickly how to join blocks 2 or apron blocks 2 and 5 together if you choose. So I'm going to open up Embellishment Essentials. It opens up to the last hoop I used, which is 9x14, which is actually what I want to use. So I'm going to keep that. If you're not on the hoop size you want, come up here to this Preferences folder, click on that, choose the hoop size that you want, say OK, and then click this compass button and click H for hoop. All right, now remember I said that you can do these separately, no problem. Apron 2 in one hooping and then apron 5 in another hooping. Or you can, if your biggest hoop size is an 8x12, you can get them to fit in an 8x12, but you would definitely have to shrink them down. So you would take out steps 3 and 4 of the quilting designs. That's the placement and tack down of the main fabric. That's what makes it 8.5, not 8 inches. So you would take those out, and then you would also possibly need to shrink down the quilting design. I know I would need to, because my 8x12 hoop is actually like, it's not really 8, it's I don't remember, 7.87 I think it says. So I'd have to shrink that quilting design down, and I would do that before bringing in the embroidery design so that you're only shrinking the quilting and no one is going to notice at all. So it's not going to matter. But if you wanted to get 2 in 1 hooping and your biggest hoop is an 8x12, it can be done. All right, so I'm on my 9x14 hoop. I'm going to go ahead and go to Merge Stitch File, and I'm going to bring in my quilting design. Now remember that I'm choosing to use Hobby 5 on both of them, but one of them is a white background and one of them is a red background, so I'm going to have to change the colors on those. So I'm going to point that out. Unless I wanted to use like a light gray on both of them, but I'm thinking I'll change it up. So I'm going to go ahead, go to Hobby 5, Embroidery Files, Block by Block, and Pez, and I'm looking for the 4 or 6x8 design, 6x8 right there. Double click on that, goes to the center, and while it's here, I'm going to go ahead and change the colors. So I'm going to click on the design. Actually, don't click on the design, my mistake. We're going to click on 1-1. If you have the design selected, make sure to select outside so that nothing is selected, and then come to 1-1. All right, and I'm going to change the first color down here at the color part, which is the properties window, and I'm going to click on dark aqua. That's the first color that comes up for me because I'm on Filtech Glide, so whatever color, it doesn't matter as long as it's the same on both designs. All right, so the first one for me is dark aqua, and then 1-2, click on the color. The first color for me is Blaze. Then 1-3, click on the color. I'm going to use the second color down, which for me is Marine, and I'm going to say OK. And then 1-4, click on the color, and the second color for me is Oriole, say OK. And then 1-5, click on the color. I'm going to choose Sprout for this first one, but I'm going to not join it on the next one. All right, so now right here we have 1-5 selected, so make sure to click in the objects window or in the workspace, click so that nothing is selected, and then come back and click the entire design. You can do it over here, or you can click up here on this number 1, not 1-1, but on 1, which has the entire 5 block. Let me just show you right there. All right, so once we have that selected, then I'm going to rotate it. I'm going to click this left rotate button, And then I have to click outside so nothing is selected, and then click back on it again to be able to move it. It won't let you do it once you've rotated it until you click outside and then click back. So I'm going to use my down arrows to bring it, my down arrow key on my keyboard to bring it down to the bottom and get it selected where I want it to be. All right, and then click outside. Actually, you don't need to click outside. We want that selected. I'm going to say Control C to copy that first design, and then Control V like victory to paste it. It goes right on top of the first one, and since it's already rotated, I can just bring it up to the top. Now remember, I'm using the same quilting design on both of these. If you're not using the same quilting design, then you would just bring in that design and make those same changes that we did before, the same colors, all right? So for dark aqua, blaze, marine, oriole, on whichever quilting design you're going to use. But on 2-5, like I said, one of them is going to be on white fabric and one of them is going to be on the red fabric. So I want them to be different. So I'm going to keep one as sprout and one as a different color. Let's see, I think I'll have this top one. I'm going to have this one be my apron 1, and then this one, I think it was, I have to look actually, I think it was apron 3 or 5, sorry, hold on. Should have grabbed my book from the start. All right, so apron 5 is the one that's on the red background. I'm going to have that be down here at the bottom just for photo purposes. So this first one for me is going to be apron, what are we doing? Apron 2, and then this one down here at the bottom I'm going to have be my apron 5. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change this color. Let's see here. This one up here. Oh, that's why I've got the bottom one down. I'm going to change that. Not that it matters. Let me think here. So that one will be apron 5. So I'm going to put this last. I'm going to say move last. All right, just so that I've got them in the order. So the easiest one, the apron 2, apron 2 is going to be up at the top. That's the easiest one that won't need a whole lot of photos. And then this one has a little bit more. So I'm going to have this one be at the bottom just for photo purposes. All right, so this one will be my apron 5. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to open this up, and this is what I was saying is important. Since the top one is going to be the white fabric and the bottom one is going to be the red fabric, I want to make sure to have a different selection for my thread color on this one. So instead of sprout, I'm going to click on 2-5, click on the color, and I'm going to choose the next color down, which is sea green. All right, you could make it red to remind you which one is which if you want, but it will be able to tell in a minute when we've got our aprons on there. All right, so that's all done. I'm just closing up these files here. Now I'm going to go ahead, and while we're here, I'm going to bring in the apron designs. I'll do a color sort after because I'll show you. All right, so we've got these two ready. I'm going to go ahead and go to merge stitch file, and I'm going to bring in the apron design. So apron 2, not the quilt files, embroidery files, Pez, quilt. All right, and I'm looking for apron 2. So right there, apron 2, double click on that, goes to the center, and I'm going to click on that design. It's the third design now, and I'm going to rotate it left. And then I'm going to bring it up toward the center. I bet you I can do it if I'm using my mouse. So if you're using your arrow keys, you can't do it, but if you're using your mouse, you can move it once you've rotated it. All right, so I'm just going to have it. It doesn't have to be perfect at all because we're going to do an align and distribute. I'm not going to worry about it right now. All right, and I'm not going to worry. Actually, I am. I was just thinking about that. I want to have my apron fabrics done at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and change these while I'm here because we'll have cyan orange in both of them. I'm going to change those because my guess is the pocket will be cyan and orange as well, and we don't want those to join together. So I'm going to go ahead and click outside, then click on 3-1, and I'm going to click on the color, and I'm going to choose the second color down because we already used marine in our quilting. So I'm going to use Hawaiian blue and say okay. And then 3-2, click on the color, and we haven't used Halloween, so I'm going to choose Halloween, the first color that comes up for me. The other two I'm not going to worry about, I don't think. Let's just see. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and bring in the next design. I can align and distribute this now. Might as well just wait. So I'm going to bring in, I'm going to say merge stitch file, and I'm going to go back to the quilt designs, and I'm going to choose Apron 5 right there. Yep, double click on that. It goes to the center. I'm going to click on the design, and I'm going to rotate it left. And then I'm going to bring it down. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect at all because we're going to do an align and distribute. All right, so see what I was saying? Here's those cyans and oranges. I'm going to merge the first two. And when I say merge, I'm going to change the color so that it will merge when we do a color sort. So we got to remember the colors we used. I'm going to click on that 4-1, and I'm going to choose Hawaiian blue. And then 4-2, click on the color, and I'm going to choose Halloween because I know that's what I used in my first aprons. Now, see, here's that cyan and orange again, but since we changed the colors, we're not going to need to worry about it. And we just need to see that nothing else is going to join when we don't want it to. So we have Hawaiian blue, we have black, and poly neon. And there's no other black and poly neon, so we should be all good, but we also have to make sure that the colors in here won't duplicate. Cyan orange, green, gray, neon red, Wilcom 5 red. Perfect. Neon 40 is not the same as neon 54, so that's good. So nothing else will join, so that's perfect. All right, I'm going to close these up. Now what I want to do is I want to align and distribute to make sure that they are centered. So I'm going to click on number 1 design, and then I'm going to hold down my control button, and I'm going to click on number 3 design, which is that apron. And I'm going to go to utility, align and distribute, and say center, center, and we'll watch and see how much that apron moves. All right, it moved down just a little bit, so that was good. And it didn't move the entire design. All right, so that one's done. Now I'm going to go to number 2 design and then hit the control button and click on number 4 design, which is that apron 5, just to keep us on our toes. And I'm going to go to utility, align and distribute. I'm in the align tab. I'm going to say center, center, and then we'll watch this apron move a little bit. Apply. All right, so it moved up and to the right just a tiny bit. Close. All right, so those are now aligned perfectly, but we still want to do a color sort, and we're going to have to check it really closely. So one thing that I want to do is, let's see, I was thinking I'd have to move over the aprons, but I think the way that we have it sorted, it should be okay. Let's go ahead and just give it a try. So we're on Untitled 1 right now. We've got 24 color steps. I'm going to go to utility align, or not align, sorry, utility color sort. And it's going to think, and make sure that you have tolerance at 0 and none of these other things checked. And it says it's reduced it by 6. I would think it would be a little bit more than that, but let's just check. So I'm going to click New View. Notice it made a new tab. If this turns out not to be right, which is absolutely possible, then we always have our regular designs that were not color sorted, nothing like that, in our first one, so that we can just delete the second one if it's a problem and start over. So Untitled 2, we're going to check these. Let's see. We have our placement for our batting. Those are together and perfect. Our tack down for our batting. Our placement for the main fabric, we would put the white one on the top and the red one on the bottom. All right. Oh, I'm saying that wrong. It's red on the top and white on the bottom. It's the red, yeah, sorry, I made that mistake. So this top one is going to be our red fabric with the black and white apron, and this bottom one, depending on how you have yours set up, but I have mine set up because I wanted the one that has more steps to be on the bottom. So that one, this bottom one, is going to be that white fabric, and don't worry, I'll show all this to you in photos anyway, but this is the one with the red apron. Okay, so that is the placement for our main fabric, and then our tack down of our main fabric. Do you hear that? Oh my gosh, there's like a jet fighter plane going by. That was pretty intense. If I weren't on this video, I'd be running outside to go see it because they're really, really cool. We live near like the Air Force Base. Not really. It's actually like 20 miles away, but still pretty cool to hear that. All right, sorry. So there we have our first quilting design, and remember they're not merged because that top one is going to have that red fabric and the bottom one is going to have the white fabric. So I wanted to have these the quilting design separated so that I can change the color. So there's the quilting on the second one, and then it jumps to the apron. This is the placement for the apron. There's our Hawaiian blue. So that's our placement for both aprons, and then our tack down of our apron. So we would make sure to put that black fabric down for the first apron and then the red fabric for the second apron. And then it's going to do all of the, it's going to do that. It's going to finish off that first one. This is the top stitching. So there's a top stitching. I forgot about that. There's a top stitch on this apron, right? That's must be what that is. Let's make sure. So did you know that if you look in the back of the book, it shows you the colors to use. So apron 2, apron satin, outline, apron strings. Okay, so it's doing the, it's not a decorative stitch, it's just the satin stitch. And we want that separate because they're two different colors of apron. So it's just finishing off that first apron, and then it jumps to the whisk and the little handle of the whisk, and then it's going to do the placement and tack down of that pocket fabric, and then the satin stitch of the pocket fabric, and the decorative stitch over the top, and then the apron strings and the satin stitch of that apron. So that actually turned out perfectly. That's awesome. So then to do this, so now we're at 18 steps instead of, 24, 26, something like that before. So then we can have it where we're putting the hoop on and off one time for the batting, cutting the batting, and then one time for both of the aprons. So we're definitely saving some time and certainly some stabilizer. So that worked out really well. So I'm going to do a file, save stitch file as. Make sure to do as, because that will make it so you're not writing over the original design. All right, and so I'm going to name this 9x14 apron 2 and 5, right? 2 and 5. All right, that's what we're going to do. Save it. All right, and then I'm going to go to Utility, Send to Solaris XP1, and it will send the design to my machine. If you don't have a wireless machine, then you would just save it to a USB stick and get it over to your machine and start stitching. So that was really easy, and that worked out on our first try. I wasn't sure it was going to. That worked really well. All right, how are you enjoying Embrilliance? Are you learning lots? shirt today. This is a really old one. It's a zip-up hoodie, and it says, what does it say? Stronger than cancer. And on the back, it has that Jesus has my back that I made by myself and in Brilliance. That was pretty fun. I enjoyed that. So this is a fun one. It's an old shirt. So make sure to look through my Amazon storefront for different ideas on what type of shirt to embroider on. But if you get a zip up one, I have to tell you, look at how cute this is. Let me show you. So this is just like a little kind of lacy, I don't know what you call it, but like a tube top. And it's so fun to have it peeking out of a zip up shirt. So I showed you the lace one that I had last week, and a bunch of people bought it. And so obviously you like that idea. It's fun to have something peeking out of a zip up. And this is just, it's a really pretty one with this floral. I really like this a lot. So I will add a link to my Amazon storefront here. And when you click on that, just go to embroidered shirts that I recommend, something like that, shirts for embroidery. And I will add this in there. I wouldn't embroider on it. It's got like, I don't know what you call it. That stuff. I think we actually we'll be using it in ginger, but organza, I think that's what it's called. So don't embroider on this, but it's really fun to put inside of an embroidered shirt. So as a zip up. So again, I will add the design for the Stronger Than Cancer. That's on the front. I will add where I got it. I believe it was embroiderydesigns.com, but I'm not 100% sure. I'll add a link underneath the video. And then the one on the back, super cute. It's got a cross with a breast cancer ribbon on it. I found that on Etsy, I think, maybe even embroiderydesigns.com. I will add a link to that. And then I just used a font that I had, and I put Jesus Has My Back on the back of my sweater. And I thought that was super fun. So I wear this to church a lot. It's a really cute design that, again, Embrilliance Essentials just made it so simple. If you haven't purchased Embrilliance Essentials, I highly recommend it. I know a bunch of people have bought it during this project because you're enjoying the tutorials and learning how to use it. I will add a link here to my Embrilliance affiliate. When you click on that, it gives a little kickback to the channel to help out the channel, and I'm teaching you how to do it. So when you click on that, then just navigate to Embrilliance Essentials. That is the one that I'm teaching all the time, Embrilliance Essentials, and it's so easy, so much easier than I expected, and really enjoying it and loving sharing how to do all the different things in the tutorials for you. So anyway, fun shirt. I'm hoping you're enjoying seeing the different embroidered shirts and things that you can do and ideas and all that. So I'll add all the information under this video. And how are you doing with your goal? Oh boy, I worked my goal hard this weekend. So my husband and I went for a hike. So first off, on Friday night, we hosted a party for my mother-in-law and had all the family over. So there was a lot of cleaning, a lot of prep, a lot of work. And so on Saturday, we went for a hike, and it was really cool. So I bought my husband this book, Boise Trails and Hikes and something like that. And the very first one that I chose, it said, go to this area, and it's close to my house. It's like 3 miles away or something. So I was like, oh, this is good. And it showed a lot of elevation. So it looked like a really good hike. But it said on there to call the ranch manager to get permission because it is owned property. And you just call the ranch manager, and then they say, yeah, go ahead and hike on there, and you go through the gate. Well, I called, there were 3 numbers on there. And remember, this is from a book, so I felt it should have been pretty reliable. And I called all 3 numbers, and they were disconnected. The first 2 were disconnected, didn't work. And then the last one was the sheriff's office, and the sheriff's office was closed on Saturday. So I'm like, all right, so we didn't go. But on the way we were leaving, there were all these sheep. Like, I could hear these sheep, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is that? And they, like, droves of them, tons and tons of them. I'll include information, a photo, and I even took a video of them. It's so cute, so fun to see tons of sheep, and they were right there, right near us. So that was really cool. So we did not give up and not go on our hike. What we did is we went to another one that was close by that we've done before, Linktree Gulch. And it was really cool because I was determined to get elevation. And so every time we saw a pitch, I went up that pitch, and hubby would go up part of it and turn around and do it his own way. And that's all good. But I ended up with, I think, about 700 feet of climbing in 3 miles. So that was pretty good. I enjoyed it, really enjoyed it. And it was very, very windy. And so it was a good hike, colder than I would have liked and definitely more windy, but good workout. Really enjoyed that. So that was on Saturday. And then on Sunday, I got everything ready. I got all my cycling stuff ready. I got my bike ready. I downloaded the route that my local bike club was going to do a ride at 10 a.m. And I'm like, oh, this is great. We'll do this. So my alarm went off and I'm about to get all ready to go for this bike ride. And my husband was going to come too. And it was like 46 degrees. And I'm like, no. Like I have the whole day. I can just go later when it's warmer and the sun is out. And so I told my husband, I said, so what do you think about us, just you and me going later? And he's like, yeah. And he just rolls right over and went back to sleep. And so we didn't go for the club ride, but I did take the route and took my husband on a ride later in the afternoon. It was very slow, very, very, very slow. But we got out, got some sunshine, got our legs moving, and we did 18 miles and I think about 400 feet of climbing, maybe 500, something around there. I don't remember, but really easy ride for the most part, extremely slow, but still movement, right? And getting back into cycling. And it's funny because when you've taken time off of cycling, when you come back, everything just hurts, like hurts. My neck, my shoulders, everything hurt really bad. And so 18 miles, slow pace, I can handle it right now, right? That it was still moving. It was good. So what are you doing for your goal? If it's something active, I want to hear about it. I know that a lot of people are cleaning out their craft rooms and cleaning out storage for craft. And that's a good one too. That's a really good one because when everything's a mess, it's really hard to plan out projects. You're like, yeah, I don't even want to deal with that. Once everything's all organized and ready for you, then it's just playtime, right? You're just having fun. So I love hearing about that too. So whatever your goal is, I want to hear about it. I love to hear how you're pushing yourself to be at your best for your goal.